This video contains spoilers for the Amazing Digital Circus Episode 8. You have been warned. So, this is kind of different from what I usually make, but ever since watching Episode 8 of
The Amazing Digital Circus!
my head has been swarmed with things I noticed about the episode and theories that I've cooked up and that I have yet to see anyone talk about. And well, it's kind of been driving me crazy.
See what I did there?
And so I figured, to get this conversation started, I'd make a video on those things. Now, disclaimer before this video gets started, this video contains sensitive topics that I am absolutely not well versed in. I'm not an expert, so bear with me. And if anyone has any corrections to anything I say, please tell me in the comments. And please don't, dox me or anything. Please, thank you. With that out of the way, let's first get into the things I noticed after watching this episode an unhealthy amount of times that I have yet to see anyone point out. First, the AI situation. Now, first and foremost, these are AI. I know, hold your applause. But all jokes aside, what I have yet to see anyone point out isn't what they are, but rather what they do. When the first AI, for simplicity, we'll just assume this is Kane, receives data for the first time, it spits out these shapes in a somewhat uniform spiral. The second time, the spiral is much more erratic, seemingly like Kane is becoming more unstable. Then the AI is given a third set of data, but this one is strange in comparison. The first two were bright and fun sets of pictures, almost depicting childlike memories. But the third is the cold confines of the CNA office. This strikes me as strange due to the contrast between this one and the first two sets. This naturally leads me to believe one of three things. Either A, this was done in an attempt to course correct Kane after his growing instability. B, these images weren't given to Kane by the same person who gave the first two. Or C, Kane has gained enough autonomy at this point to pull these images himself. Some supporting evidence for C lies in episode 7, when Kane states that, quote, they cut him out.
Too bad they cut me off, right?
This partitioning could very well be the moment they cut him out. But, I could be completely wrong too. After Kane's growing instability was clear, they section him off and create a new AI. Notably though, this time, the data stream that it's fed is significantly longer than anything Kane was fed. After receiving said data, the AI spits out a near perfect spiral this time. All of this is to show that, just as Bubble states later in the episode,
You really were the lesser of the two.
With that being said, let's next talk about our favorite round rage baiter, Bubble, who was on absolute menace timing this episode. This guy? Love this guy. Now, while we all love Bubble, there's been undoubtedly a question regarding Bubble in the background for a while now. That being, what is Bubble? Now, it's no secret that Bubble and Kane are very clearly connected in some way. But what isn't clear is exactly to what extent is that the case. Now, with this latest episode, I can very confidently say that it is without a doubt one of two options. So, the coin flip. Option 1, Bubble is exactly what we all first thought when watching episode 1. Just a creative representation of a thought bubble, often saying or being Kane's inner thoughts. Now, while this one is simple and arguably boring, Goose has made it very clear that Occam's razor is kind of a virtue at this point, practically banging us over the head with that fact.
I can't believe you didn't pick up on the context clues. It was practically spelled out for you. What are you, stupid?
Personally, I think this is the most likely answer. And with Kane currently being in the, past tense, I don't think we're gonna get any more information on that. Option 2, Bubble is actually the remnants of the second AI. Now, this one is admittedly less likely, but there is still some evidence for it, and I'd be remiss not to point it out. Namely, Kane doesn't actually seem to like Bubble all that much. This would make sense if Bubble was, say, an AI meant to replace him, but then whether Kane likes Bubble or not is really up for debate, so yeah. Also, the whole parasite line...
You parasite!
could arguably work under this theory, like Kane thinking the second AI is a parasite for trying to replace him. I don't know, it's kind of a stretch. Also, this is kind of shallow, but you could argue that Bubble is like blue-ish, kind of paralleling it to the second AI, but you know, it's a bubble, so yeah, take that as you will. Second, the minds theory. Episode 8 has basically confirmed to me that the humans in the circus are only copies of the originals. Now, while I've thought this was the case for a while, some things in episode 8 just serve to reaffirm this idea. For starters, how Kane initially refers to the humans as minds.
I was hoping new minds could show up. I have to make some more preparations.
And a little later in the episode also references their mind files. Now, while you could argue that this is just simply how an AI might view human brains, this isn't the only evidence that there is. In the scene where Ragatha first enters the circus, it is made very clear that she was with some friends when she put on the headset. This is important because if she was with other people, then why didn't they do anything? If your friend put on some random headset and then suddenly slumped over, wouldn't you try to do something? Call 911 or hell, even try to put on the headset yourself to see what was going on. We know her friends didn't put on the headset because none of them ever entered the circus. And we know they didn't call for help because if they did, the police would have likely confiscated the headset, leading to none of the other members ever finding it and trying it on. It would only make reasonable sense for them to do none of this if only there was never a reason to panic. If they simply tried on the headset, assumed nothing happened, and then walked away. Now, while I think this is the most likely scenario, it's not without issue. Namely, there's one big problem and one explanation. Though admittedly, the latter feels like a stretch. First, the big problem. We know that in the current day, the CNA office is an abandoned building. This only really makes sense if the original devs, Kinger, Scratch, etc., were actually transported into the game instead of just having their minds wiped into the game. And as for the half-baked explanation, you could argue that Ragatha's friends just sucked and left her there. All this to say, while I do believe that the mind copy theory is to be the most likely, it's not without its flaws. And finally, third, the Jax mystery. Now, after this latest episode, I thought up a theory that I haven't really seen anywhere else as of yet. Currently, the general consensus is that Jax was involved in some kind of hit and run with what was most likely a little girl. This theory mostly stems from 3 points of evidence. 1, the images that flash when Jax is hyperventilating at the end of episode 7, which seem to depict him driving first in a neighborhood with a children crossing sign, and then next some images of him driving in the forest. 2, a post Goose made some time ago where they stated that Jax, out of everyone, deserved to be in the circus the most. And 3, the strange fact that Jax's room looks like that of a little girl's, perhaps being a cruel reminder of what he did. Now that we've addressed the popular theory, I'd like to address a possible alternative theory. That it's possible that Jax is trans. Now, I hear you screaming at me, but please hear me out before you pelt me with knives, because I don't think this theory is that crazy. Now, there's a couple main reasons that made me think of this. First, in episode 5, the point of Jax's lack of masculinity gets brought up on 2 separate occasions. First, at the picnic when Jax claims that looking the way he does is, quote, peak masculinity, to which Pomni quietly laughs at.
Think we all look weird.
Excuse you, this is what peak male performance looks like. My ears and tail are kind of the pinnacle of masculinity.
The irony is obvious due to the bunny iconography not typically being associated with masculine qualities. Second is during the baseball game when Jax is forced to wear a maid outfit, to which he is visibly embarrassed and aggravated by. Both of these scenes come across to me as Jax really trying to convince himself that he is quote-unquote manly. 2 more scenes from episode 7 and 8 respectively work to further this idea. First, Jax's room, which could be interpreted as a constant reminder of his sins, or just that it's a girly room because he himself is girly. Now, the scene from episode 8 that triggered this whole theory is admittedly the weakest point, and is very much up to interpretation, but this is just what I thought. In the scene where all the members of the circus but Kinger are being tortured at the end of the episode, Jax's torture is him being laughed at and, well, this. Now, you might be wondering what it is about the scene that made me think of this theory at all. Well, it's a small detail, but tell me if you spot it. Did you catch it? No? That's understandable. Here, look at it again. Yeah, this. The way he pulls up his skin here struck me as almost dainty. Now, for the people screaming, is that seriously it? Yeah, pretty much. In general, I'm not saying this theory is good, just that it's something I noticed and wanting to point out. That's all. But please, give me your thoughts in the comments, even if the comment is just calling me stupid. I'd love to hear what y'all think. With that being said, that about wraps up all I really wanted to talk about. And if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. And I hope you enjoyed. And until next time, bye bye.